Hello everyone, this is Tara Bro. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to be having another pick card reading. This one is going to be what do they envy most about you? So you'll have a chance to pick from 5 items, and as always, uh, go with your gut reaction, not your head. So usually whatever instinct, gut reaction you first have, that's the best option to go with. So I'm going to put them up right now. You'll have the option to pick between an feather, bone, coin, arrowhead, or a shell. So I'll leave these up for a few seconds, but again, try not to think too much about it with your head and make that choice with your gut reaction. All right, so we'll start it off with feather. Okay, so we have the Four of Cups, the Nine of Swords, and the Ace of Cups. All right, so it looks like what people envy from you is the fact that it seems as if you don't need to work for what you receive. That is to say, things come to you easy, or that's the way that people are perceiving you, or those who envy you are perceiving you. It could be that you actually work very hard for what you do, but the way that other people perceive it is almost like you're lucky, like you weren't even looking for this and it just came to you. You are like Homer Simpson, and those who envy you are like Frank Grimes. Frank Grimes, if you haven't seen The Simpsons, is a guy that is driven into madness because of how easy Homer Simpson has it, and uh he unalives himself accidentally at trying to emulate Homer Simpson, and he touches some live wire. Um, this is essentially, like you were like Homer Simpson in the situation. You just seem to have it easy, and sometimes it may be effortless. Things just come to you easy. You may have a an easy life, or things just work out for you. There may be even a sense of you don't appreciate what you have, or at least that's a sentiment of those who envy you. Almost as if you take things for granted that those who envy you would love to be in your position. Ultimately, what they envy about you the most is the quality of life that seems to come positively and more naturally to you, that other people see and almost want to be in your shoes or your position. So, if there's anything positive that you can take away from this, is that other people see your position or where you currently are as favorable, and other people wouldn't mind to switch seats with you or switch shoes with you. So even though you may not feel that your standing where you are in life is good, other people seem to think so, and maybe you can use that to maybe change the way that you feel about your current standing. All right, so next up we have those who chose the bone. What do they envy about you the most? All right, so we have the Ten of Swords, Death, and the Nine of Swords. All right, so it seems here what people are envious of you the most is that even though a situation may not go positively for you, the outcome always turns out favorable. It could be your outlook on things, or it could be the way that things actually work out. But it looks like it's almost like if somebody were to want to keep you down, and something negatively fell on your lap, but yet somehow you were able to make lemonade out of lemons. That's a thing that they envy. They envy the fact that maybe they themselves wouldn't be able to be strong in a situation like that. What they envy can really manifest itself in many different ways, but you could think of it in terms of, someone's rooting for you to lose your job, and you did lose your job, but then it worked out in a way where now you're in an even better position. Now that you're not there, you're able to be here, and which is far better than where you were. And that's something that people envy about you. Like an extreme example of something like this would be like the this movie Marvel's Avengers, like the final one where with Thanos. There's this guy who's like a intergalactic conquistador, or like a pirate kind of thing. He takes over planets, and he's like taking over this village in this planet, and he's about to slaughter everyone. And then he sees one of the locals, and it's like a little girl, and he grows a fondness of her, and it ultimately takes her as like his daughter and like apprentice. But that's essentially like you were in a situation that may not have been favorable, yet somehow you managed to get the favorable end of this. They see you as rising out of the ashes when maybe they would have preferred you just burn, and that's something that is envied about you amongst those around you. I should add that maybe not everyone hates you. It's more the um, it's just an envy, So maybe people aren't actually rooting for you to fail, but I think maybe they're more annoyed, if anything, when they themselves probably wouldn't come out fine in a situation like that. The fact that you come out, even better is maybe more annoying. Maybe no one's rooting against you for your demise, but maybe they are just annoyed. All right, next up for those who chose the coin option. What do they envy about you the most? All right, so we have the Hierophant, we have the Eight of Swords, and we have the Five of Swords. All right, so it looks like what they envy about you the most is your favorable standing. Whether it be a community, a workplace, a friend group, whatever it may be, it seems as though as if they think that they have the the negative end of the stick, and you always gain preference. It's almost like they perceive you as like a teacher's pet, or maybe you're in a position that's more favorable in the workplace, and they see it as maybe like nepotism, like you only got in that position because you're friends with somebody. But ultimately, what they don't like is that you have the favor of somebody that they don't. So like the boss likes you more, or all your friends like you more than that other individual, or the community, maybe a church or some sort of community gathering, you are more well preferred. They also may see you as incapable, like wait a minute, they're having trouble with that. That is easy. How could they be having trouble with that and still be in X position or position A or position B? It's almost like they think that if they were to get in trouble, they would get the book thrown at them. But you almost laugh it off, and it's a funny thing that's a learning experience. It's kind of like in The Simpsons. There's this episode where they uh, their dog had a giant litter of pups, and the dogs were the cutest thing ever. And they're all gathered around the television, the family, and they're watching television. And it's like a feature premiere, and there's this scene where there's a woman and she's in a bikini, and there's a big close up on the woman's chest, and then a little puppy goes up there and he's covering the screen, and everybody just says "aw," they're kind of they find it cute and endearing, and then their cat sees them, and then the cat goes up there, and then the scene switches, and then it's just a movie going on, and then the cat puts his paws or on the TV, and then everybody yells and they're like, "Get that cat out of there!" Essentially, those who envy you are the cat, and you're the puppy. So overall, they envy you because you have the favor of those above both you and those who envy you, and they think maybe you're undeserving, and they don't think it's fair. All right, next up for those who chose the Arrowhead option, what do they envy about you the most? All right, so we got the Ten of Swords, the Five of Cups, and the Five of Wands. All right, so it looks like what they envy about you the most is the fact that you don't accept defeat. Or that is to say, once something has happened to you, you are not a person to become a victim of it. You're not someone who's going to fall down and, well, that was my one chance and that's it. This is me now. That's not you. You are a type of person who is going to uh, persist. You're going to do things. You're going to still do your best, give it your all, and that's something that they don't that well, maybe they like it, but what they do they is they envy it. Like if something goes wrong or something, catastrophic or something unfavorable to you happens, you you are still at it. You're not going to let something bring you down. It may seem kind of, cheap and insignificant, but this is actually a trait that not many people have. A lot of people, what they do is when they're knocked down is they just accept that, and that's their life from now on. They will never try again. If you watch King of the Hill, there's this character who's named Bill Dauterive, and especially early on in the early seasons, he was defined by his divorce from his wife Lenore, and he's just a mess. And anyone who would come in contact with him and hear his romance advice would almost fall into like a depression. And one of the things he says to someone who, when he's passing advice of like relationship advice, is he tells them that you only get one, and if you blow it, you're done. And what he's referring to is his like love in life, and because he failed, that was it. That was his one and only chance, and he's never going to try again, or he's never going to find love again. And while that may be the case for some people in their lives, it's not the it's not the rule for most, and especially not you. You know, when something happens to you, you're going to keep going. And this is actually like a trait that you could say a lot of wealthy business owners, millionaires, billionaires have. It only takes one time to, make your first million, and then from there it's easier to make your 10 million, and essentially it is a series of mistakes, but you just need that one to work. And this is a positive thing of yours because you're a person who's going to keep getting up every single time he's down. So that's one thing that they don't like about you, the fact that you seem to never stop. Like you are going to give it your all. You're going to give it your fullest potential, and they themselves who envy you may not be able to even give a fraction of what you give. So that's what they envy about you. All right, so last up, for those who chose the shell as the option, what do they envy about you? All right, so we have the Page of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Knight of Swords. All right, so what they envy about you is your aura, or more accurately, I guess you could say, like your coolness. There's a way that you approach things that is almost beyond the realm of what those who envy you can conceive. Those who envy you are those who, are hopping over the gate to try to get to where they need to go when, all you did was walk up to the gate, the door, and it was opened, and you just walked right through it. That's your approach to things versus those who envy you. You have this approach like, well, why don't we just do this? When everybody else never even considered that as an option. While somebody may clumsily be stumbling through life, trying to figure things out, it almost seems like you're just walking through and everything is just everything is just working out for you. It's almost like Mr. Magoo. Like he'll I haven't actually seen any Mr. Magoo stuff, but I guess he's supposed to be like this old guy who is visually impaired, and he's just fumbling through life, but he's just like scathing. danger, every corner. Everything's just working out for him. You're kind of like Mr. Magoo, except with the fact that you are able to see and you aren't doing things accidental. It's almost like things may work out for you, but it almost seems like this is something that you are initiating. It's almost like if you had a lucky sweater on and it actually was legitimately lucky. That's how people see you, those who envy you, and that's what they envy about you. But more importantly, though, like an extra element that goes with that, though, is it's your approach to things. So it's not so much necessarily that, you're lucky. It's more the fact that you chose the lucky option. Like you are doing things that other people just, can't fathom. It's like you brought an umbrella on a very sunny day because, you thought it looked cool and everybody laughed at you, those who envy you. And then it turns out that it rained that day and you're the only one that isn't wet. That's kind of like the energy. Like well, this doesn't sound that part of the envy is like a luck that they envy about you. I think the more general and overarching theme here is a cool factor. You are a cool individual that they envy about you, and it's something that they don't understand. And when you do something and things happen, it's beyond their head. They can't comprehend. It's because you're doing something that they don't understand. Really, it's your aura that they envy about you the most. All right, so that's it. Please let me know what you thought about this. As always, I would like to hear your comments and opinions, what other type of readings that you'd like to see on this channel. And when reading for a large group of people, it's very hard to be accurate because you're essentially being lumped with a group of people. I do offer personalized readings now. You can click the description to get more information about that. And then that way you can get a more detailed reading. But yeah, let me know what you thought about this, what else you'd like to see on this channel. And I thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.